Afreilich in Chanukah, we continue Dirshu Mishnah Berurah, and we begin a new Siman. Siman Ayin Test. Now, Siman Ayin Test is going to continue the halachas of Kriya Shema as we've been learning, and the relationship between Dvarim Shebek Kedusha and different. We learned about Erva, and now we're up to Soya. Says the Machaber, he coins and he titles this Siman Mishan Izdamin Loit Soya B'Shas Kriya Shema. What happens if it happens to a person tzaya while reading Kriya Shema? So says the Machaber in Sef Aleph, tzayas adam me'achayrav. If there is tzayas adam, and as we pointed out in the previous siman, there are different halachas between tzaya, the feces, the excrement, the fecal matter of a person and of an animal. So says the Machaber, if the tzaya of a person me'achayrav behind you, you have to distance yourself 4 amos from where the smell stops. Not 4 amos from the tzaya itself, but rather 4 amos from where the smell of the tzaya stops. Afilu im yesh, continues the Machaber on to the next page over here. Afilu im yesh loi chayli she'ena meriach. And even if one is sick that he can't actually smell, but it's from the place that the smell stops. And of course, this was a very a classical contemporary shayla in the world of Corona, that all of a sudden we had millions of people that couldn't smell. And now the question was, wait, what is the status of the halacha? So the Machaber right away begins and teaches us, mimakum shekalu areach, from the place that the smell stops, and even if you don't yourself smell it. Still, from the place that it smells. It is a smell, you just can't smell it. And let's say the soya is in front of you. It can never be anywhere within your eyesight in front of you. I feel about even at night, where you can't necessarily see it, it's the same halacha. Or even if one is blind, so he himself can't see it, says the Machaber, it does not make a difference. He doesn't see it. Still, it has to distance itself from the place that it would be visible. So we're saying that the detail of seeing the tzaya, the detail of smelling the tzaya, the din of being 4 amos from where the smell stops, is not in actuality whether you see it, whether it's night, whether you smell it. No, it's from the smell, it's from the sight, whether you personally can never see or can see due to the nighttime. Let's say the tzaya is on the side. It's as if it's behind you, meaning 4 amos from where the smell stops. Says Ramash Tichsi Misvalel. So no damn even the and they're saying in the shul or in the house of the davening in, even if it's behind you the entirety of the house, you have to pause until it is removed from the building. Because the Sheikh Sibur, and of course this is in the world of the Shulchan Aruch, we'll have to see whether this applies to nowadays. But because the Sheikh Sibur is being mighty everyone else, therefore the din is that he is not allowed to daven. It's more chamor, the din of Saya. So now the Rama explains that this is a practical din. If I'm being mighty you, and you're on the other side of the room, so where I am, the Saya is not in my sight, not in my smell, but where you are, you can smell or see the Saya, I cannot daven. Why not? Since I'm being mighty you, so when you listen, it's as if you're saying the words, and you can't say the words because it's saying in your vicinity. So therefore, I cannot say the words until you are able to be mighty. So let's go back and let's begin the Mishnah Berurah. Anyone who has some time, as you see over here, here is a hakdama that the Machaber, that the Chavetz Chaim wrote to the Bir Halacha and all these on the Siman. But we're going to go into the Mishnah Berurah. Says the Mishnah Berurah, even if you can't smell it, you still do 4 amos from it. Arba amos of Sivkot Mezich Savayim Machanecha Kadosh. V'chikiblu Chazal, the Chacham explained, Shemachanecha, as we turn over the page over here, Excuse me, we lost the page. Here it is. Shemachanecha shel adam hu al amos. What is your machaneh? What is your encampment? Says the Mishnah Berurah, say Chazal, Talid Amos. You may get Reich Rambe, it's seven Tuchel Al Amos of Harei, Ein Zeh Kol Makom Chaniyasai B'Kedusha. If you could smell it, then your Chaniyah, your encampment is not Kadosh. If it's in front of you, we said the Soya, then you have to distance yourself, Maloi Einov. Sivkat and Gimel says the Mishnah Berurah, Ein Bi Megadim Shekasaf. According to the Rashba, what is forbidden? Saying words of Kedusha with the Saya in your eyesight. To think it Torah. As long as you're out of the 4 amos of where the smell stops, you're allowed to think in Torah, but you're not allowed to say Torah. But according to the Rosh, the Rosh is misopik. Afilu balayla. So we continue to the Machaber, and we learned that this din of Saya, the din of sight, din of smell, is not subjective. It's nighttime, so I can't see it. It's someone's blind, he cannot see. Still, there's a din of Hayim Machanech Kadosh, explains Mishnah Berurah. Sivkat and Dalet Alkein Aser Leimer Afilu balayla Kriyishma Oishar Kol Davar Shebekdush Lefnei Abatim. You can't say any of this in front of the house. It's Kider Liyai Sham Saya. Because in the classical stories, there's Saya in such a scenario of a whole Kishakein B'Chatzer. And of course, this is in a nostalgic world of outhouses, which one has to be nervous of tzaya being on the front lawn in front of a house. But of course, nowadays, that is not the case. But then we continued and we said in Sivkat and Hey that if someone has tzaya in the stadim on the sides of him, it's dinai kilachrav. Explains the Mishnah Berurah, mikol makom lechatchila, yizayir leila kadesh yatzayim l'acharav. You should keep on going so the tzaya is behind you. Then you can rely upon the fact that Tzaya is not within 4 amos of you. If it's impossible, unless you're going to extend a lot of effort, then it's enough 4 amos away on the sides, like behind you. In your peripheral vision. It's not mamish in front of you, and it's not mamish on the sides. It's on, we'll call it the 2 o'clock and the 11 o'clock of your sight, kigoin, rinish, talking, nisruchen, and imshachan, na'irach, harachayiv, chaygavna, akasbi, magin avram, didn't kill a fun, then that is a din if it's in front of you, and therefore it's forbidden, kamali enough. And this is something that everyone could just understand, misvara, because your eyesight sees it. You don't just see what's in front of you, you see with your periphery vision, you see those side areas, if that's a problem as well. Well, your Rabbi of Kasam, no, he argues the dinah kamot stadim is the same thing as the sides. Sagu Dalet Amos. Mishnah Berurah himself over here doesn't fully weigh in because Chayadam the Masharaya Belayata Israel Sadim. So comes the Chayadam, like we pointed out. That is different levels. You mamish Sadim, you have to turn. You have in front of you, straight in front of you, and then you have the peripheral vision, like we mentioned. You don't even have to turn. I guess the difference between maybe 1 o'clock and 2:30. 2:30 already is it's in your blind spot. You have to turn a little bit. So it says the Chai Adam. If you continue without turning your head at all, then the peripheral vision that's not the machlekes, says the Chai Adam. Everyone agrees that has a din of lefanav. Oid kasav continues the Chai Adam. Says the Chai Adam. A classical example: Kiddush Levana. You're standing in the street. You have to be very careful. This foul matter. It could be in front of you. And certainly, you have to be 4 amos away from a smelly area. Says the Mishnah Berurah, it's better not to do it. And if you're careful about v'haya machanecha kadosh, you don't say divrei kedusha in unclean areas. Allah because v'aymer b'davar hazeh ta'arichu yamim. Arichus yamim for what? Because it's a very important inyan. The Dvarim Shabbat require nikiyas. Ad sheitzianu sivkat and vav says the Mishnah Berurah v'mal yidei zeh shliach sibur k'dei ligmer kula v'haya b'tach ta'amas lo yachzol rosh. You not have to go back because we're waiting for a choma. Because you're being Yotzei other people, explains Mishnah Berurah Sivkat and Zayin. As we explained, it's as if each person is davening by himself. Says Mishnah Berurah, wait, What about nowadays that every person indeed davens on their own? You're not being yotze with the Sheikh Sibur. Mikol makoim halo yitzari kol yachid v'yachid la nois amen. Al bercha Sheikh Sibur. Says the Mishnah Berurah, you still have to say amen. And you can't have so in front of you, even for an amen. We see how far this halacha goes. V'mashatz oisei ga'atam b'psukei zimra of the Sheikh Sibur is saying psukei zimra de nemotzi de chavasai v'sham and excuse me v'nemotzi de chavasai v'in sham aniyas amen. So if you take care of both issues that what, let's say psukei zimra that there is no amen and he's not being yotze you, then motul lami kedarki you can say it regularly as long as he's outside of the 4 amos of himself from where the smell of the soya stops. But if he's within the 4 amos, he has to wait. You only have to go back to the place that you stop. Then so points out the Mishnah Berurah an important detail, quoting something that we really learned already prior in Siman Samachay, that when we say the amount of time to say the whole thing, it doesn't mean where you're up to right now. He's up to Maidim right now. He's going to be done in a moment. No, it means the entirety of the whole Shemona Esrei. And so if you wait that long, let's go back to the beginning. But again, the Mishnah Berurah reminds us that how do we gauge this day? And it's each person his own speed of Shemona Esrei. Nodes within 4 amos, you'll add a daven. Even though the soyim between them is not a problem. But says the Mishnah Berurah, perhaps you can't say amen due to the fact that soya is in the proximity between the one making the bracha and the one answering amen. With this we conclude doesn't mean 4 amos, of course, from the soya itself, but rather, as we keep on seeing, from where the smell stops. In case a child does an accident, the Sheikh Sibur should be quiet and wait until they dilute it with water, or cover it up, or you should distance yourself. Let's say the Meir Aglayim is now within Dalamus of the Sheikh Sibur. Al Svaras HaMekilin Shezar Ladia. Maybe there's Makkah to be Mekel. But the Kal himself, of course, should distance or cover it up. Because again, if not, they will not be able to answer Amen. And we'll pick it up from here, Sif Beis B'siyata Dishmaya, in the next shir.